Well, hi everyone. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon from beautiful Miami today, where I'm at. I'm so excited. Anyway, this is our Friday webinar, and today we're going to talk about another area that we can kind of look into and get some clues about our body, and we're going to talk about the eyes, and those are the people say those are the windows to the soul, but they're also a window to some early changes in our health. And we're going to go into some of those areas. Dr. Chris, good morning. Welcome to today's webinar.
Good morning, Dr. Tina. Welcome to the Southeast. And yes, welcome everyone. This is a great topic. Give it a little background. I know my beginnings started with studying the eyes with sclerology and how to work with herbs. This was Dr. Stu Wheelwright, who set up a company of his own right now, Systemic Formulas. And then there's Dr. Bernard Jensen, who we all, I think, might have been introduced to through iridology. But we're going to look at the more conventional dynamics of looking at the eyes and how the medical practitioners look at it. But just to know that so much of the body is reflected throughout other parts of the body. So that's what we're helping to learn.
The
Dr. Tina.
body, yes, the body speaks to us. We can find things out even before going to a doctor. And I love that you bring up iridology or iridology, pronounced both ways, because that was my favorite topic when I was going through school. Seeing, looking into the eyes, what are the patterns, the colors, the characteristics, and how can they reveal a person's health information? Dr. Chris, do you want to jump into some of these clues about the eyes?
Sure. The cloudy eyes, typically a sign of cataracts, and cataract surgery is the most common surgery that's out there. But it's something that's easily done. But it's to know about it is that because it's a common condition in older adults, it deals with the breakdown of the immune system. The inability to keep the clarity there. So you have these free radical damage that happens. So there's different forms of cataracts. The develop the proteins into the lens of the eye, and this is why that cloudiness is there, and just restricts vision. So it's interesting that the Germans in Europe, they're learning to do crystal lenses because they understand the importance of light and natural light getting through to the eyes and the rest of the body through that lens. And so their lenses are made of crystal rather than glass or the type of material that's used in conventional medicine here in the US. So, Dr. Tina, anything you want to share there?
Yes, interesting you bring up glasses. People are over wearing their sunglasses and not getting enough of the natural light into their eyes throughout the day too. So, you don't want to have overexposure to your eyes, but you don't want to have underexposure as well, because we get nutrients, into our eyes through the sunlight as well. Um, let's take a look at chronically, and that's the key word, chronically bloodshot eyes. Um, you know, just a little joke here, being in Miami, seeing a bunch of bloodshot eyes in the morning. That's not what we're talking about here. Um, but when we look at the chronic bloodshot eyes, it can be caused by many different things, such as allergies, irritation from chemicals or smoke, or improperly fitted and torn contact lenses. You have to be very careful with contact lenses, bacterial or eye infections such as pink eye. But if we look at, the chronic part of this, moving into maybe an indication of glaucoma, a corneal ulcer, or even high blood pressure, especially if they're persistent, right? This bloodshot eye is persistent. I find it interesting too when a lot of people go to the eye doctor. They can actually determine if you might have blood pressure issues before a doctor will even diagnose it because they can see this damaged blood vessels that are in your eyes. So keeping that in mind that you might have blood pressure issues because of the very small I want to say like the circulation, the microcirculation in the eyes. Dr. Chris?
Right, those tiny little blood vessels are very sensitive and they reflect a great deal of information.
And then let's take a look at eye moles, eyelid sores, and other possible cancer signs. Now, some people are born with these little, spots in their eyes, and those are not harmful. But when we look at what appears to be a freckle or a mole, it's called a nevus, an Nevus. And usually they're pretty harmless, but they could develop into cancer. And these sores, if they're near the eyelid or there's a noticeable loss of eyelashes as well, then it could be detected as a form of skin cancer called eyelid carcinoma. And, so people that also have breast cancer, some of the women with breast cancer or lung cancer or brain cancers, these spots, these moles can be detected in the eyes as well. Okay. And if you notice or a doctor says you have, creamy yellow or elevated masses that are deep in the retina, that can also be a sign. Dr. Chris?
Yeah, so much can be diagnosed from the eyes, especially the next slide. We're looking at, floaters, blurred vision, and just all the various symptoms of diabetes in such a common chronic degenerative condition in our culture, the blood sugar irregularity that exists, and that blood sugar just damages that high blood sugar levels just damages the microcirculation, the microvascularity. And that's why you see things like diabetic retinopathy and diabetic macular edema. And so it's really important to look at these different spots that exist um, behind the eyes, and because this is what you see in the retina, and so you get impaired color vision, dark or empty spaces in vision, vision loss, feeling of pressure in the eyes. So you see all the different things we're talking about. So we found that from a study that 73% of the diabetic patients sampled some type of blurred vision because of the blood sugar irregularities. So, these symptoms can be other issues as well, like blurred vision, but the most common one is the blood sugar, but it could be you need help with an optometrist to find out your vision. You need glasses, or could be some, what we just talked about with cataracts. So, Dr. Tina.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next one.
Yes, next one is swelling and redness. There's the real connection there with inflammatory diseases and inflammation in the eye, and very common topic for us, and why our formulas, Tellouth and Telomega, just help so much to reduce the inflammatory response and heal the immune system so that it doesn't establish that inflammatory state. And so if you see that in the eyes, this is definitely a sign that you want to be taking more of your Tellouth and your Omega, and then working with the practitioner to help you with whatever might be happening, because these type of symptoms can flare up and reflect inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, right? All of the autoimmune conditions that show this swelling and redness, this inflammation. And Dr. Tina, it's really important to understand how much, again, the eyes can tell us immediately what's going on in the rest of the body.
Yes. And you can kind of see like there's this film over the eye as well. So this is a pretty serious eye condition here. So there's some serious things that are happening inside this person's body. All right, this one is interesting. I found this so interesting when I was studying iridology. This gray ring around the cornea. Uh, and this is a frequent indicator of high cholesterol or high triglycerides. Okay, and you might also see, yellowish deposits of actual cholesterol, in the eyelid when someone has very high cholesterol. But taking a look at this gray ring. Now, when cholesterol gets lowered or normalized, that gray ring actually goes away. So it is very obvious if you're going to be looking in your eyes and you see that gray ring that you could have challenges with your cholesterol. Okay. Dr. Chris, do you want to add anything here?
Just dramatic to realize that change can happen. It's something I can personally say myself, and just changing that sclera from that yellow film, and it just gets white and clear again. It's really important to see how your therapy and whatever you're trying to do is helping you. It's a great way to indicate that. Thanks, Dr. Tina.
Yes, I want to also mention we don't have one of these eyes up to talk about the lymphatics, but when the whites aren't very white anymore, a lot of times our lymphatics, the lymphatic system is congested, and once you get lymphatic drainage going, and you can only get that pump working for lymphatics if you're exercising or having lymphatic massage, you'll see that the whites of your eyes get even more white. But let's take a look at this one. This is the bulging eyes is a very common issue when we're looking at thyroid disease or hyperthyroidism and or Graves' disease. And it actually causes the extraocular muscles to enlarge and stiffen, and that's why the bulging happens. And it also, by the way, the thyroid controls our hormone glands for tear production. So we could end up with dry eye issues if we have thyroid issues. Keep in mind, dry eye also is becoming extremely popular, even if you don't have a thyroid issue, because of the devices that people are looking at and staring at them. If we're out in nature, we have to blink a lot more. But if we're staring at a TV or a device, a phone or a computer, an iPad, there's less blinking that's going on, and it's causing dry eye as well. But Dr. Chris, you want to go ahead and add in more regarding the thyroid and bulging eyes?
It's the thyroid plays such a key role, just like every organ, but the glands in the endocrine system, especially the thyroid, adrenals, the pituitary that we talk about, uh, play such a key role, and it's so important to maintain our health and vitality, and also to really manifest rejuvenation and regeneration. So the thyroid plays such a key role, key role. And one of the things that's happening, I'll bring this up. I know that Vernell, you had questions about Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is a symptom, a condition of a issue that happens because of this thyroid issues that oftentimes aren't realized. And if individuals can get into like a ketogenic diet, they can reverse the Alzheimer's, because what they're doing is they're changing the ability for the thyroid to function. But it gets challenged. It gets challenged with doing a ketogenic diet because the thyroid can't handle the metabolic function. So there's so many things that are interconnected there. Dr. Tina.
Oh, there are. And one area that is so important with thyroid is the gut. You know, you've got to have that healthy mucosal barrier in your gut. So leaky gut, you know, the gut, the thyroid, everything is so interconnected. You know, as you mentioned, so it's not just about, okay, get on a thyroid medication. The other thing that I thought was interesting too, Dr. Chris, is that, you know, iodine deficiency can really affect our thyroid. So making sure you're eating foods that have iodine in them, seafood,
right? Very
particularly.
common early on with artificial salts. So now the you know food industry started iodizing salt just because of the common symptoms that occurred with the thyroid and the bulging that existed long years ago.
Exactly.
So here we're looking at the yellow eyes that we shared a little earlier about, and so we talked about the thyroid with the previous slide. This one is the yellow eyes refer to more of the liver because of the jaundice that it shows. Jaundice is a condition that occurs where there's too much bilirubin, a yellow compound formed from the breakdown of the red blood cells and in our blood. So if your liver can't filter these cells and maintain this, you know, red blood cell breakdown, the bilirubin builds up, and this is what causes the eyes and the skin to turn yellow. So some babies are born with actually with jaundice because of the stress that occurred in the liver development. But when you see things like hepatitis, alcohol-related liver disease, or something that's blocking up the bile ducts for the gallstones, this is where you see this symptom and definitely can be very advanced and go into abnormal tissue and cancer. So, Dr. Tina, this is a good one to know about.
Absolutely. And then let's talk about droopy eyelids. Now, when both eyelids or one, you know, appears to droop, it's called ptosis. And some people are born with it or it can develop later, but there's a range of possible causes. So, aging, just normal aging can cause the drooping eyelids. And then there's nerve injuries, there's surgeries for cataracts or LASIK that can also stretch the muscles and tendons that are causing it. But if your eyelids are sagging and you don't know why, it can indicate a little bit more of a serious disease, such as a stroke, brain tumor, or cancer, or of the nerves or the muscles. So when they are both sagging, just know it could be a neuromuscular disorder, and it's called MG, myasthenia gravis. But you know, most people, when you're getting those droopy eyelids, it's because, you know, it's the natural aging process as well.